Donald Trump, a man of many fixations like windmills, big strong guys, and how good he is at passing dementia tests, is now concerned about the fate of donuts in America. Yes, that's right, the fried breakfast treat that some Americans like to indulge in. He's worried that we're coming for the donuts.
Interesting.
Now, what is he talking about?
Good question.
So this year, he started, for some reason, fixating on donuts. He's mentioned donuts several times, and it's the idea that America needs to rely on fossil fuel energy so we can make more donuts. That's the argument that he keeps making. So if you're thinking that this sounds way too stupid, even for Donald Trump, well, take a look at this.
Inflation was caused because they stopped drilling, they stopped the energy, and that caused the inflation. Energy is so big. If you make donuts, if you make cake, if you're a lawyer, if you're an accountant, you're heating and you're trucking, and no matter what you do, energy is so big, it's all encompassing. The trucks, the people that bake the donuts, the restaurants, everything requires energy. Energy is so big, it's like all encompassing everything. You make donuts and the ovens and the trucks that deliver them, and no matter what you do, if you make donuts, if you make anything you make has to do, and when they ended our energy, we were energy independent.
I really want to eat a donut now, but let me just dispel the notion that our so-called lack of energy independence is threatening the future of donuts in America. The fact of the matter is, the United States produces more oil and gas than any other country in the world, and the fact of the matter is, the United States exports more fossil fuels than any other country in the world. Okay, we're number one. And the reason why that happens is because the fossil fuel companies are not controlled by the government. They're not owned by the American people. They're not nationalized. They're owned by multinational corporations who will export these resources to the highest bidder in the international market. That is the issue. And so I don't know why he keeps tying it back to donuts. I think that's
I do.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
I actually think this is smart.
He's a Trump whisperer.
Okay, so first off, let me do the dumb parts and then we'll do the smart part. He always amuses me when he says things like, they stopped the energy. What do you mean we stopped the energy? Okay, I guess he means that Democrats have limited fossil fuel production in America, but that's not remotely true. Right, and in fact, Obama used to brag about how we became the #1 energy producer under his watch. So now, if you're on the left, you should be really mad at Barack Obama and Joe Biden because they're constantly improving oil pipelines, bragging about how much energy they have, right? But Trump, he said in the last clip, they ended our energy. So we don't have any energy left. Okay, let alone the fact that it's fossil fuels. He has no sophistication at all, right? And he says these blunt instrument things. And the first clip was a good explanation of what he meant. Good explanation. They stopped the energy, then we had inflation, then no donuts. Okay, now there's one simple reason that he says, and then I'll finally get to the part why it actually is a smart political strategy. Look, somebody must have explained to him, hey, Donald, or Mr. President or whatever, you know that it's fossil fuels aren't just for cars. It isn't just, oil isn't just for, and for coal for the factories, etc. It actually goes to, for example, making plastic, and plastic is in everything. And it also goes towards making food like donuts. And the minute they said that, he got it. He's like, I got it, donuts, donuts. They stopped energy, which stopped the donuts, and now I'm pissed, okay? But the upside of Trump being so simplistic is that it's at least easy to like relate to, right?
Yep.
So the average guy goes, I guarantee you right now, you ask any Trump fan, they'll tell you, well, the problem with the Democrats is they stopped the donuts. Like, it's super easy to understand, even though it's not really true and is nonsensical, but like people like donuts. So that's why do you think they lied about and I know that they gave him a little bit of a, like, there was an accident about the wrong version of Green New Deal that was released, that was never proposed, etc. But the minute they saw something about burgers and planes,
right,
the Fox News jumped all over. They're gonna stop your burgers because it's easy for an average guy to understand. No, wait, I like burgers. I don't want him to take away my burgers. Oh no, Biden stopped the energy, which stopped my donuts. I like donuts. And that winds up working really well. Then you go to cut to Democrats, and Democrats are like, well, we think that the proceedings here are quite inconsequential, but and the average guy goes, oh God, I don't know what the hell this guy's even talking about. But I do know he's cutting my supply of donuts, and I'm not in favor of it.
So I agree with you wholeheartedly. I think that Trump's ability to communicate in a simplistic way is highly effective. And I think it's also even more effective when you have pundits and corporate media looking down their noses at him in this elitist way, because he's communicating to ordinary Americans. And if you are criticizing him for that and making him out to be a moron because that's the way he communicates, well then it reinforces this elitist, this notion that our institutions are governed, ruled, and controlled by elitists. Okay, so there's that. The other thing I wanted to mention is, no, Trump is actually doing what a lot of climate scientists had attempted to do multiple times in trying to raise awareness about the realities of of climate change. So for instance, I remember stories about how climate change is threatening your bacon, climate change is threatening your coffee, climate change is threatening all the things you love to consume, right? And that was an effort to try to get ordinary Americans to care about the impact of climate change. And so Trump is doing the same thing here by kind of fear-mongering about the impact of cutting back on fossil fuels and how that's going to threaten the future of donuts in America. Now, of course, that's not true, but he also makes, look, I do think that he makes an important point about how an increase in the cost of energy, which we have experienced, not because of efforts to curb fossil fuel production, but mostly because of the fact that we're dealing with an international market. We're dealing with the so-called OPEC plus cartel, meaning oil producing countries are in some cases withholding oil production in order to drive up the price of fossil fuels. That's a way for them to maximize their profits, right? That never gets discussed. So that's also an issue. And then of course, Russia's war in Ukraine has an impact on the cost of fossil fuels as well. So all of that plays a role, but he's not gonna get into the nitty-gritty when he can use this as an opportunity to specifically target and attack climate scientists.
Yeah, there's one more critique of the Democratic Party here, which is that the Democrats come in and say, okay, now you guys have to do a lot of things and it's your fault and your responsibility.
The onus is on individuals to change their behavior. Yes, correct.
And so and so they say, I give you one example because it's true and annoying, which is, okay, plastic straws are bad. Now you got to use paper straws. 99% of Americans hate paper straws. They melt while you're having to drink. So then people feel like, and I'm giving a funny example, but there's way more like compost, recycling, this, that, the other 100 things, gas stoves, etc. Some of it's over exaggerated, some of it's overhyped, but some of it is true. And so it greatly annoys the American people. It makes it feel like you're taking away from their lives. Now, why do they do that? Because in reality, Goodrich Petroleum financed partly Joe Biden's campaign in 2020. About $9 million flowed to Biden's campaign from the people that own Goodrich Petroleum. So they're not gonna tell you that the Willow Pipeline's terrible, because later Biden's gonna approve the Willow Pipeline. And Biden's gonna do all the things that could actually, that hurt the environment a lot more. And then he passes some things that help, so he's a mixed bag on that, right? But he wants you to focus not on Goodrich Petroleum or to the fossil fuel companies, because they're also financing Democrats. So he's trying to get you to focus. But at the end of the day, what is the American voter here? Trump is pro donuts, and the Democrats are blaming me for the problem and trying to take away the things that are convenient in my life.
That's right, yep.
And that is a disastrous political strategy.
Agreed. I totally agree. All right, we got to do one more story. We'll do a full story on this tomorrow, but this was just brought to my attention. This story just broke. Former President Donald Trump posted a doctor's letter stating he is in excellent health and has lost weight thanks to daily physical activity. It also says his cognitive health is exceptional.
If you enjoyed this video, that's because of our members. They make us independent, they make us strong, and they make us honest. Become a member today by hitting the join button below.